I never thought my life would come to this. Standing in front of the large mirror in the room, I looked at my reflection. My round belly serving as a constant reminder that a tiny life was about to enter the world. Yet, what weighed me down the most wasn't the physical burden of being 9 months pregnant, but the loneliness and disappointment pressing on my heart. I, Amanda, 29 years old, was preparing to become a mother for the first time. However, the person who should have been by my side, my husband, whom I once trusted, was slowly turning into a stranger. Mark, my husband, is 33 and works as a financial employee at a major investment firm. We've been married for 4 years. His job keeps him busy during the weekdays, but instead of spending weekends with our family, Mark frequently goes to his parents' house just a few blocks away. He claims that his parents are used to having him around, but there's really no clear reason for him to spend entire weekends there. Since I became pregnant, managing the household has become more difficult. I tried not to ask Mark for too much, but I never expected him to completely leave everything to me. Tasks like grocery shopping, cleaning, and cooking all fell on my shoulders, even as my body grew increasingly exhausted. Friends often advised me to take it easy and avoid heavy chores, but how could I when I had no support? Perhaps many people would wonder why I let things spiral like this. Sometimes I ask myself the same question. Mark isn't a bad person, but ever since I became pregnant he's changed, or maybe I've only just started noticing the things I used to overlook. Each day I hope that he will change, that he will realize his responsibilities, but it hasn't happened yet. The burdens keep piling up, weighing down on me more and more. Every night as I lay alone in bed, the soft glow of the bedroom light fails to ease the emptiness inside me. I tell myself that I need to be strong for the baby that's about to arrive, but sometimes I wonder if that's enough to pull me out of this pit of despair. All I know is that time is running out. In just a few weeks my life will change completely. In what way, I still can't say. In recent days my daily routine has become a repetitive cycle with no escape. Every morning I wake up earlier than Mark to prepare breakfast. Even with my growing belly, I do my best to get everything done on time so he can leave the house without complaining. Mark is always in a hurry and rarely says thank you. After he leaves, I start my list of chores: laundry, cleaning, then grocery shopping. Sometimes my friend Jessica offers to help, but I don't want to inconvenience anyone. I keep telling myself I can handle it, but the reality is that my body is growing more tired each day. Yesterday I struggled to carry a heavy bag of groceries from the supermarket to the house. My feet swelled and my breathing came in short gasps. But when I finally got home, all Mark did was glance at me indifferently before turning back to the TV. He didn't ask how I was or notice that I was gasping for air, sweat soaking through my shirt. I was deeply disappointed, but instead of arguing, I stayed silent and handled everything on my own. The next morning, after I finished preparing breakfast for Mark, he walked into the kitchen with a frown on his face. I looked at him, trying to stay calm. Then he spoke, and his words caught me off guard. "Amanda, my parents want us to visit them this weekend. My mom also said she's planned a 2-day vacation for the whole family to relax," Mark said, as he quickly drank his coffee. I stopped washing the dishes. "But Mark, I'm due to give birth this week. I can't travel that far. The risk is too great." He sighed and shook his head. "Excuses again? Just because you're pregnant everything has to stop? Sitting in a car isn't tiring, you just need to sit quietly. My mom went on trips when she was pregnant too." I felt my heart tighten. Why does he always compare me to his mother? I am not her. And I am at full term, not in the early stages of pregnancy. "Mark, I don't want to take any risks. This isn't something to be taken lightly," I replied seriously. But Mark didn't bother listening. "Everything's already decided, just pack your things," he said, and left the room without waiting for my response. In the days that followed, the atmosphere in the house grew heavier than ever. I didn't want to argue, so I stayed silent, but my mind was overwhelmed with emotions. I couldn't believe how indifferent and irresponsible Mark had become. The day of the trip arrived faster than I had expected. I still hoped that Mark would change his mind when he saw I wasn't feeling well, but that didn't happen. He rushed me into the car as if I were just an obstacle delaying his plans. As soon as I got into the car, a sharp pain shot through my belly. A wave of anxiety swept over me, but before I could say anything my water broke, spreading across the car floor. "Mark, my water just broke. Hurry, take me to the hospital," I cried out in panic. He looked at me with a bewildered expression, then frowned as he glanced at the wet floor. Water? Oh, for God's sake, Amanda, do you realize what you just did? You made a mess in the car. I couldn't believe my ears. Mark, I'm going into labor, do you understand? We need to get to the hospital right now, I shouted, both in pain and fear. Instead of helping, Mark opened the car door and motioned for me to get out. Get out, I need to clean the car first, you can't do this, he said irritably. I stared at him in shock, frozen in disbelief. Was this the man I once loved? The man who was supposed to protect and care for me in this critical moment? What are you saying, Mark? Please, I can't go by myself. He didn't bother to respond. Instead, he coldly pulled me out of the car. Call an ambulance yourself, I don't want to delay my plans with my parents, he said, before getting back into the car and slamming the door shut. The car sped off, leaving me alone on the sidewalk in excruciating pain. Tears streamed down my face as I struggled to grab my phone and call for emergency help. In that moment of despair, a familiar voice called out, Amanda, what's going on? Are you okay? It was Jessica. She ran over to me, her eyes full of concern. I'm in labor, Jessica. He left me here, I sobbed. Without needing further explanation, Jessica quickly called for a special taxi to take me to the hospital. Throughout the ride, she held my hand tightly and kept reassuring me. Amanda, you're going to be okay, don't worry, we're almost at the hospital, she said softly. Her calm words helped ease some of my fear, though the pain was becoming increasingly intense. I gripped her hand as tears continued to pour down my face. When we arrived at the hospital, medical staff immediately rushed to assist me. Jessica stayed by my side, helping with the admission paperwork and informing my family. As I was wheeled into the maternity waiting room, I overheard my mother's worried voice on Jessica's phone. How's Amanda? We're on our way, she asked anxiously. Don't worry, ma'am, Amanda is in good hands. I'll stay with her until you get here. Jessica reassured her, her voice firm but gentle. A few minutes later, my parents arrived at the hospital. My mother took my hand, tears welling in her eyes. Sweetheart, I'm here now. Everything will be okay, stay strong, she said, her voice trembling with emotion. My father stood beside her, trying to appear strong, though his eyes betrayed his deep concern. He placed a comforting hand on my shoulder and softly said, Just focus on your breathing, follow the doctor's instructions, you've got this. Jessica gave a respectful nod to my parents before stepping out to give us privacy. Before leaving, she squeezed my hand one last time. Amanda, you're so strong, you'll get through this. I'll be waiting for the good news outside, she encouraged. The pain intensified with each passing moment. The nurses quickly prepared me and wheeled me into the delivery room. Time seemed to stand still as I focused solely on my breathing and the searing pain tearing through my body. After what felt like an eternity, I finally heard the cry of my newborn. You've got a healthy, handsome baby boy, one of the doctors said with a smile as they placed the baby in my arms. I gazed down at my tiny, rosy-faced son. In that moment, tears streamed down my face once again. Not tears of pain or despair, but of overwhelming joy and relief. It was as if all the pain had been washed away by the sound of his first cry. This was the miracle I had been waiting for. After resting for a few hours, I woke up to see my parents sitting by my bedside. My mother gently asked, How are you feeling, Amanda? I'm feeling better, Mom, I replied softly, my voice still tired. Where's the baby? The baby is undergoing some health checks, but everything is fine, my father responded, his eyes showing relief. I smiled faintly, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. Despite the pain caused by everything that had happened with Mark, this moment made me realize that nothing was more important than my child and the presence of loved ones around me. Later, Jessica returned to visit me. She brought a large basket of fruit and smiled brightly. Amanda, I told you, you're stronger than you think. I held her hand, overwhelmed with gratitude. Jessica, thank you so much. If it weren't for you that day, I don't know what would have happened to me. Don't mention it. We're friends and that's what friends do. Help each other, she replied, her eyes shining with sincerity. That evening, as I lay in my hospital bed, watching my baby sleep peacefully beside me, I had a lot on my mind. Mark had not come to the hospital or even called to check on me or the baby. It was a clear sign of what I needed to do next. I knew that I couldn't allow myself or my son to continue enduring his cruelty. Plans started to form in my mind. I would take back control of my life. In the days following the birth, many friends and colleagues visited to check on me and offer their support. However, Mark remained completely silent, not a single message or call to ask about the baby. I had anticipated this, but the emptiness and disappointment still stung my heart. Then, one afternoon, Jessica burst into my room with an excited expression. She held up her phone in front of me as soon as she entered. "Amanda, you have to see this right now!" Surprised, I asked, "What's going on, Jessica?" "I just got some news. Someone uploaded a video of what happened when Mark abandoned you on the street that day. It's gone viral on social media." I froze in shock. Jessica pressed play and I watched the clip. It captured the moment when Mark lost his temper and pushed me out of the car while I was in labor, my water having already broken. A bystander had accidentally recorded the entire scene. In the video, my face was clearly visible, filled with desperation, while Mark coldly shut the car door and drove away. The clip ended just as Jessica ran to my aid. "This video is spreading really fast," Jessica explained. "Everyone is outraged by Mark's actions. People have even dug into his personal information. Both his company and his family are facing serious backlash." I didn't know how to react. I stared at the phone screen, feeling both shocked and relieved. For years, I had silently endured Mark's cruelty in the shadows. Now, his actions had been exposed to the entire world. "Jessica, is this too much?" I asked. Even though deep down I felt that Mark deserved it. Jessica shrugged, her eyes sharp. "Too much? Amanda, don't forget that he abandoned you when you were in a life-threatening situation. What's happening to him now is simply the consequence of his own actions." The news of the video spread quickly. On forums and social media, thousands of people posted comments condemning Mark. He was being labeled as a heartless husband and an irresponsible man. It didn't stop there. His parents' home address was also leaked. Some people even went to their house, leaving notes filled with criticism on their gate. The next day, my father received a call from my mother-in-law. Her voice was filled with rage. "What has Amanda done to cause our entire family to be humiliated like this? Is she trying to destroy our reputation?" My father replied coldly, "You should ask your son about that. We did nothing. If you feel hurt, it's because of the consequences of your own actions." After hanging up, my father turned to me and gently asked, "Do you want to take any action, Amanda, or should we let things play out on their own?" I stood silent for a moment, thinking. I don't need to do anything else. I just want to focus on raising my son and living my life. As for Mark, he has to face reality. I no longer have any responsibility to protect his reputation. In the following days, I received word from my lawyer that Mark had been temporarily suspended from his job. His employer, who valued family organic principles, couldn't tolerate an employee with such behavior. Mark tried to reach out to me through numerous calls and messages, but I didn't answer a single one. In my heart, everything between us was over. That evening, Jessica sent me a message. "Just relax and rest, Amanda. You don't have to worry about what Mark is going through. The most important thing now is you and your baby. We're always here for you." I read her message and smiled. For the first time in a long while, I felt relieved and safe. This was the beginning of my new life. A life no longer filled with fear or chains holding me back. That day, when my personal lawyer, Mr. Cooper, came to meet with me and my family, I was mentally prepared to make the most important decision of my life. Only a few weeks after Mark's video went viral, the situation had escalated beyond his control. Rumors and harsh criticism from the public had backed him into a corner. That's why he kept trying to call and message me, but I didn't respond to any of them. I looked at the lawyer and said firmly, "I want a divorce. There's no need to delay it any further. I don't want my son growing up in a household where his father doesn't respect his mother." Mr. Cooper nodded in agreement. "We have enough grounds to proceed with the divorce swiftly. Given the current situation, I doubt Mark will try to cause any more trouble." And just as expected, the next day Mark finally showed up at the hospital but was stopped by security guards. He stood outside the main entrance shouting and demanding to see me. Later he called my father, his voice filled with anger. "You can't stop me like this. Amanda is my wife. I have the right to see her." My father calmly replied, "My daughter doesn't want to see you. If you have anything to say, contact her lawyer." Realizing he had no other options, Mark was forced to accept that the situation had slipped out of his control. The official meeting for negotiations took place at the lawyer's office. I arrived with my parents. Mark was also there, but he looked disheveled and out of control. His eyes burned with resentment as he glared at me. "This is ridiculous," Mark exclaimed loudly as soon as the meeting started. "I didn't do anything so wrong that I deserve a divorce. Amanda, this is our family. Do you really want to destroy it?" I kept my tone calm and replied bluntly. "Our family has been broken for a long time, Mark. You don't care about me or our child. It's time for you to face the consequences of your actions." Mark slammed his hand on the table. "I'm not going to pay any support or take on any responsibility. I don't want anything to do with that child. He's your problem, not mine." Mr. Cooper gave a faint smile, picked up a file and said, "If you don't want to negotiate, we can take this to court. Do you understand how neglecting your legal obligations will affect your personal record? I'm sure any company would be very interested in an employee's moral conduct." Mark hesitated, his face paling. He knew he was cornered. After a few moments of silence, he reluctantly gave in. "Fine, I'll agree to the divorce, but I don't want any involvement with the child." "That's your decision," I replied. Inside I felt a mix of pain and relief. At least now I was no longer bound to this man. After the meeting, the lawyer quickly finalized the paperwork. We reached an agreement that Mark would not have visitation rights and would provide financial support for our child for a set period. Mark reluctantly signed the documents and left without saying a word. I watched his figure retreating, my heart filled with mixed emotions. My father placed a hand on my shoulder and gently said, "You did well, Amanda. Everything is going to be okay." I smiled softly, feeling a sense of relief. "I just want a fresh start. From now on, I'll live for my son. And for myself." Stepping out of the lawyer's office, I took a deep breath. The sunlight outside felt like a sign of a new chapter in my life. No more Mark, no more painful days. From now on, I would take control of my own destiny. News of Mark losing his job quickly reached me through Jessica. She sent me a message with a link to a local news article. The report stated that Mark had been fired after the company's management became aware of the viral video. In a brief interview, a company representative said, "We prioritize family values and personal responsibility. Behavior like this is not aligned with our corporate culture." I read the article without feeling any satisfaction, only relief that justice had finally been served. Someone as irresponsible and selfish as Mark didn't deserve a significant role in that company. This was bound to make his life much harder. Jessica also told me that people in Mark's parents' neighborhood had begun gossiping. Not only was Mark criticized, but his entire family faced judgment and ridicule. "Some people even posted notes with mocking comments on their gate," Jessica said over the phone. "His parents must be miserable." I sighed. For years, Mark's family had always sided with him, enabling his bad behavior. This might be the first time they were forced to confront the reality that Mark was no longer their golden boy in the eyes of the community. According to a neighbor, Mark had moved back to live with his parents after failing to keep up with his mortgage payments. He hadn't found a new job, and rumors continued to cloud his life. One day my mother received a call from Mark's mother. Her voice was filled with frustration and helplessness. "You have to do something about Amanda. She's ruined my son's life. Our family can't live in peace because of this." My mother responded calmly, "Amanda did nothing wrong. What's happening is the result of Mark abandoning her when she was about to give birth. I think you should take a hard look at your son instead of blaming others." The call ended without any further response from Mark's mother. I knew they were desperately trying to avoid responsibility, but that was no longer my concern. I had completely cut all ties with them. During this time, I focused entirely on taking care of my son. The early days of motherhood were not easy, but the presence of my family and good friends gave me the strength to endure. I knew that Mark was paying the price for his actions, but the most important thing for me was that my son and I were now living in peace and freedom. In the distance, I heard my son's cheerful laughter as my mother played with him. That sound was all I needed for this new chapter of my life, a place free from the shadows of the past. Life gradually settled into a peaceful rhythm after everything with Mark ended. I spent most of my time caring for my son, focusing on regaining my health and rediscovering myself. My mother helped me a lot with babysitting, while my father often offered emotional support, helping me overcome the exhaustion and pressures of being a single mother. Though the early days were challenging, I realized that the love and support from my family were the best medicine to keep me strong. Jessica visited frequently, bringing small gifts or simply spending time to chat with me, making me feel less lonely. Thanks to her connection, I also reconnected with Sarah, the woman who had helped me the day I gave birth. Sarah and I quickly became close friends. She often invited me and my family over for meals. Over time, our families grew closer, almost like relatives. One day when visiting Sarah's house, I met her son, Ethan. He was a few years older than me, a software engineer who had recently returned from working in another state. I didn't pay much attention to him during our first meeting, but Ethan was very friendly. He played with my son, making him laugh out loud. "Your son is adorable," Ethan said, his eyes lighting up as he looked at the baby. "I love kids. Seeing him reminds me of the stories my mom used to tell me about my own childhood." I smiled. "Thank you. He's my biggest motivation right now." After that, I noticed that Ethan frequently found excuses to visit or invited me to join him and Sarah for outings. At first I thought it was just casual kindness, but our conversations became longer and more personal. He listened patiently as I shared the difficulties I had endured and always encouraged me to stay strong. One evening, while we were sitting on a park bench near my house, Ethan turned to me with a sincere look in his eyes. "Amanda, I don't know if you've noticed, but I truly admire you. You've been through so much and still remain strong. I want to be by your side, to help care for you and your son." His words left me feeling overwhelmed. It had been a long time since I had allowed anyone into my life after the trauma Mark had caused, but with Ethan, I felt a sense of safety and sincerity I had never known before. My heart raced, but I gently replied, "Ethan, I'm really grateful for everything you've done for me, but I need more time to think about it. I don't want to rush into anything." He nodded and smiled softly. "I understand. I'm not here to pressure you. I'll be here, waiting whenever you're ready." From that day on, I began to let myself open up a little more. Ethan often spent time helping me care for my son. He became more than just a friend. He became an important part of both my life and my child's. My mother noticed the change in me and playfully teased, "You know, your eyes light up every time Ethan shows up." I blushed but didn't deny it. Ethan brought a refreshing sense of hope, like a ray of light piercing through the dark days of my past. In the following months, Ethan and I grew even closer. Sarah was delighted to see our families bond so well. "Who would have thought my dear friend would become part of my family?" Jessica teased when she found out. My life had truly entered a new chapter. I was no longer the woman who silently endured pain and suffering. I had found strength within myself and surrounded myself with people willing to walk with me on the journey ahead. Amanda's story is a testament to the power of resilience and family love. After enduring betrayal and hardship in her marriage, she chose not to let her past hold her back. With the support of her loved ones and friends, Amanda overcame her challenges and rebuilt her life. She found happiness not only through her son but also through genuine relationships. Her story reminds us that when facing adversity, strength and faith in ourselves can open new doors of hope and opportunity. What are your thoughts on Amanda's emotional journey? Do you empathize with her decisions? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to follow the channel to discover more inspiring stories about life and family.